platform, and this afternoon on this particular segment of our program, we are speaking with Bianca Nygaard. And Bianca Nygaard has been on our program on numerous occasions. We thought that given what is happening in our country with respect to the row between Peter Nygaard and Louis Bacon, that we cannot ignore certain things that are taking place. As I said recently, this case and many cases being published around the world. We pick up the New York Post or the New York Times or Vanity Fair. We see stories about what has transpired in the Bahamas, and many other people have gotten involved. In addition to attorneys, young people in the Bahamas have gotten involved in this particular case in many ways. We heard recently and saw articles of one Justin Sands and some young lady who has also sued Louis Bacon in New York. And so it's a story of intrigue, and it all started with a very simple matter at Nygaard Key. Peter Nygaard seeking to develop his property, seeking to live in peace and comfort in the Bahamas and on his property at Nygaard Key. He's been given a rough time by his neighbor, and his neighbor has taken various actions against him, and there are a whole lot of people who are conspiring against Peter Nygaard. And so Bianca Nygaard wishes to talk a little bit about that, I believe. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
It must be difficult as the daughter of Peter Nygaard to be hearing these things and reading these things being published, eh?
It is difficult, Mr. Jones, of course. You know, I really tried before to ignore it, you know, and just to keep moving on and not even be bothered to read these comments. And now I've gotten to a place where I have to know what people are saying, and then I have to stand up for it and put a stop to it if it's wrong.
And the genesis of it has to do, as I said, with access to Nygaard property, right?
Yes, it is about that. It's expanded now. You know, it's not only about the property anymore. Now it's a fight between the neighbors to destroy everything. You know, and people have to be careful not to get caught in the mix with it. You know, it's so easy on social media for something to be posted and said that's created about somebody that's not true. And I think that we get detached from that. These are actual people's lives. You know, this is almost like a soap opera show between Louis Bacon and my dad, right? But people don't understand really that I'm attached to it. My children are attached to it. His company, my dad's company, is attached to it. It affects way more than just maybe the newest gossip. So when you see something on social media and you forward it on or you talk on it without knowing yourself, if it's true, then it really does affect people and affects us.
You know, I've been sent information and I try to avoid these things myself. But when I saw an account, say, of Justin Sands and how he sought, in my opinion, to destroy his former employer.
Right.
Because he worked with you people, didn't he?
Yes, you met Justin Sands was the one that was doing the Nygaard Swim store.
I thought I met him at the mall at Marathon.
Yes. Well, he's been in our lives for a long time. He actually was calling my dad like a father figure to him, and he spoke very highly of my dad on numerous occasions. And you know, when this article came out, I went and looked through my correspondence emails with Justin, and all of them, he's so loving and he's talked so highly to me and to my family and everything. So for him to conspire to do something like this, it's obviously been paid. He's been paid to do it. And then he comes out and does something like this, and it's just like, it's overwhelming, but it's defamation of character. So you say something, you have to be able to back it up after, right? And so if he puts something out there and that gossip gets out there, and then later through the court system, they find out that these things are not true, people aren't looking into this, following onto it so much that they're gonna now know that it's not true. It's already in their head that something like this happened. So it's very terrible to be able to just say these things.
And he's sworn an affidavit apparently in Canada?
I'm not even sure about this, but I do know that it's going to court. It is investigated, and he has been added to a list that contains other people that have done similar things. So it's really interesting because, you know, you want to stay out of this drama, but then when I have somebody that my dad has a lot of money, people want to get in and see how they could get a little piece of this money. So they actually come over and they pretend that there's something else that they're not. And they'll set up something entirely for a fight that has something to do with my dad and his neighbor. So it's like a whole setup. And they even get into my dad's private life and try to twist and manipulate things and take pictures of or do whatever on his personal life. I mean, imagine that happening to you, you know, somebody in your home and around you all the time and saying something to you, to your face, and then completely on the side doing something different and doing malicious things that destroy your reputation. Is just crazy, because then you don't even know who you can trust or who you can have around you at all.
Tell me, how did he leave the employ of Peter Nygaard? Because you worked in your Nygaard Slim store.
Well, actually, yeah, I was the one that even hired Justin in the beginning.
You hired him?
Yes, and he was a special events manager. And then later he didn't work out. There's been times when he's left and then come back. And he wanted to, in 2013, he did a big, wonderful reception for my dad where he presented him with this award in Freeport and had him come down, and there was Junkanoo and this whole big presentation. He gave a wonderful speech about my dad, and that's kind of how he got back into the picture of our life. And then he's been working on and off, and he was temporarily a property manager at Nygaard Key, and that didn't work out for him. And my dad still liked him and wanted to keep him on and find a place for him in the company. And at that time we were opening up Nygaard Slims. It was even actually my suggestion to put him into Nygaard Slims because he seemed to like fashion and whatever. I thought that was going to be a better fit for him. And so he went there and he did well with the opening of that, and then he just disappeared. And we didn't hear anything about it, and now this pops up.
Why did the property management thing didn't work out for him?
Well, that wasn't even actual, that was like we didn't have a property manager at the time, and he was kind of filling in until we got a property manager. It was just a temporary title. But then it's also an opportunity to see if you would be able to handle the opportunity that you've been given, and then it wasn't working out like that, you know? So it was just, you know, that kind of fill-in position.
So a whole lot of people are being used, being used and abused in this ongoing saga, I call it.
It's just crazy on how many levels this has gone to. You know, it's the torture of just, it's one thing after another. It's like, what is going to pop out next, you know? So you have these people, that they're actually implanted in there, and they have a different agenda on their mind, and they're going to say or do anything to create something. It's just so bizarre to live that way, you know? Then meanwhile, you have like boats coming through with the tours full of the people on the boat. That was created by C.B. Moss at that time, like just touring the island 3 times a day, giving a tour of Nygaard Key, but speaking badly about my dad through the microphone, like all these just crazy things. And this is how you have to live every day, trying to figure out what's going to happen next in this dramatic thing with a neighbor. And you know, the thing is, I hate myself even talking about this right now. I'm so over it. The Bahamians are over it. Everybody's over it, you know. But it's not, this fight between them isn't over, and I don't know until what. You know, this article that came out, or this I think it was an article that came out about the person they charged my dad. They said that my dad was doing human trafficking with them or something. Her name was Bianca McKinney. Then that was spread around, and then now that's in court. And these court documents, and she's saying this never happened at all. and she's suing Louis Bacon for this, and she's under psychiatric care, and it's like wrecked her. She's very. It's destroyed a lot of her life. You know, this situation. So I mean, these are real people and real stories and real lives that, you know, it's affecting. And so this kind of information is actually public information. You can look up online and you can see the what is it, the affidavit for the lawsuit to see who's saying what. But, you know, a lot of people don't go to that length to verify that the information is correct.
So this McKinney lady is in New York, is she?
I think that this is happening in California.
In California?
Yes.
Okay. And she, you said, is under psychiatric care as a result of being dragged through this whole thing.
Right, exactly. So it really affects people's lives. You know, it's a real thing. It's not a soap opera. It's not made up. It's real people.
And it's quite expensive too, because of the litigation that we see not only here in the Bahamas, but also in Canada, in New York, in California. There are lawsuits in all of these places between
it's so sad.
Bacon and Nygaard.
It's so sad. You know, it's affected the company, my dad's company. It's affected everything. He would love to. He said on a numerous amount of times that he would love to put that money that he's spending on this into different places. You know, that he loves to do charity stuff that I like to head up here in the Bahamas, and he does this kind of stuff all over the world. Or he'd love to just relax and enjoy himself and the money that he's made by his hard work. You know, this is an endless fight and costing a lot of money, and actually ruining, I think, his legacy. Because when I have been doing my internet research now, and you pull up Nygaard, you can't just get the positive stuff on Nygaard. You have to get the fight with the neighbor. Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate, and he did issue a letter to everyone concerned calling for a truce.
Right.
He wanted to bring an end to all of this and called on Mr. Bacon and others to just put these things aside and use their energies and their monies to, as you say, help charities in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And that was rejected, was it?
It was rejected. It's just they keep on wanting to fight. And you know, I think it's very easy for people to say, which I've read, okay, I've read people say, let's just kick them both out of the Bahamas. You know, they're so sick of hearing about this, and I'm so sick of it too. But I really want to just take this opportunity to say, has there been a time when my dad's helped you or you've known of somebody he's helped? You know, because when I start looking at every event that comes up in the Bahamas, there's always been a time I know of that my dad has probably helped out in some way at some time or another. You know, he really loves the island. Also, I live here. My children are Bahamian. We're here. It's not just as easy as let's just kick the two of them out. You know, let's look at what it is that these people have done. If they've helped them, why not say something? If you don't want to say anything to help or be a part of this situation, then don't do anything to hurt the situation. You know, don't write anything negative that you don't know about, or don't pass on the information if you don't know it's correct. Let's try to just be able to work it out. I hope it works out soon and that this fight is over, because it's been 8 or 9 years, I think, of this already.
A very long time. But as a daughter, take us to the genesis of it. How did it get going? What was the thing that caused this to start, in your opinion?
I'm not sure exactly what it was, but there was a time when the neighbor, I think, wanted to buy the Nygaard key, and Nygaard key wasn't going for sale. And I'm not sure if that's where it started, or if maybe it started from the parties that my dad was having, which he was having on the weekends before the neighbor even moved in there. My dad was there first. So it's just continued to everything. Then everything became a problem, you know? So now it's so lost, I'm not even sure.
Yeah, and he had a difficulty with your father inviting just regular people
Right. Well, my dad, he always, he just loves the Bahamas. So he wanted to move to the Bahamas he loved the water, he loved the people. And so he wasn't moving to Lifer Key just to be behind the gate of Lifer Key. He thought that the point was the best piece of property on Lifer Key and was excited to have bought that point, And then he really wanted to be around the Bahamian people. And my dad, he isn't really a person that goes out very much. He likes to stay in his place and have his environment and everything. And so he likes to have a party and have people come and be around him instead of him traveling out so much, So that's something that he's been doing in Los Angeles, or that he does in Canada, or that he does everywhere. He's always been like that. So he would have these parties on Sundays that he calls a pamper party, where he'd play sports and offer people massages and manicures and pedicures and have a nice beach day. And he's always done that. So yeah, they knew of these parties beforehand, moved next door to the place, and then complained about that this was happening.
Amazing. Let's take a break here. This is the platform, and we are speaking with Bianca Nygard, and as you can see, she doesn't like to talk about these things, but sometimes you do have to talk about these things, especially when your family members are adversely affected. And in recent times, there have been some people who have come up with stories against a father, and you say a whole lot of this has been done for their own personal benefit, for money.
It is. There's no reason behind it except for that it's a monetary gain. And it's malicious statements for monetary value, and that they are going to court for, and it will be a fight. But in the process, the reputation is ruined. There's gossip out there. There's untrue things, and that was all a part of the plan also.
Let's take this break here on the program. We'll come right back.